Hi, my name is Claire Luning. I'm based in St. Louis. I have a background in title research, sales, and customer service. So throughout college, I worked a bunch of different retail jobs. And then after graduation, I landed a role in the title industry. I really enjoyed doing title research and working with a great team, but I knew I ultimately wanted to be in a more dynamic environment. Learning to code felt like a natural choice for me based on my interests, experience, and temperament. Plus, both of my siblings are software engineers who learned how to code after college. So last year, when I lost my job, I decided that it was the perfect opportunity for me to join a coding boot camp. I found savvy coders on coursereport.com while researching local camps, and I knew it was the right fit for me based on how great the reviews were. So for my capstone, I'm someone who's really interested in personal development. I have created a mindfulness journaling application that will help users create better habits. The capstone is called 30 Days, and the idea behind it is that once a day for 30 days, users will submit a journal entry to help work on their new habit. I have used languages such as JavaScript, HTML, and CSS to bring this capstone to life. So let me go ahead and show you what I have completed thus far. Okay, so here we have my homepage. This here is my headers, 30 Days Habit Builder. And I just kept it pretty straightforward on the page. So down here we see it says through 30 days of consistent journaling, you can create better habits. So I have my footer at the bottom as well. And then over here to the right, I have the navigation items. So let's take a look here. I'll click on the About page. And as you can see, it changes color. I was able to do that using CSS so that you can already tell which pages you've visited. So for my About page, I've kept it pretty straightforward. So I did the who, what, where, when, why, and how, just to give users a really quick rundown about what this is used for. I didn't want to get too in depth with it because people might be moving kind of quick. So right here, I have my contact page. So when we were learning a little bit more about HTML and using forms, we were taught something called FormSpree, which is a hosting website for contact forms for marketing emails, essentially. So I can show you how this works. So I'll go ahead and put in my name. I can put in a test email, and I'll just say, this is a test. And then what's nice is that it's got this really drop-down menu, so I can choose where I found out about 30 days. I'll go ahead and say I found out about it using Git. I'll hit submit. And we're taken to a FormSpree page. You can just navigate right back to where you were. So down here, I have a join page, which is where a user will be able to register. And I also have a login page, which is where a user will be able to log into their account. So as it currently stands, these pages have yet to have functionality added to them. So kind of a funny story, in the days leading up to demo day, I was told to really work to try to add functionality to these pages. So I worked with my TA on it. I learned a bit more about the back end and how this would look, gave it the old college try, and totally broke my capstone. So that was kind of crazy to experience this close to demo day and graduation and so on. So what I ultimately had to do was comment out some code, delete a few things, and then re-push up to GitHub to make sure that this could deploy successfully. So it's still working. It's still, as you see up here, deploying on netlify.com, which is hosting our front end. So yeah, this is definitely on the list of things to do, but that was kind of crazy to experience so close to demo day. So then I have a profile page. Again, this is under construction. So this will be the landing page that a user will see once they log in. I'm planning on adding some more like bells and whistles to it to make it a bit more unique to the user. So then here on the create page, this is the main functionality of my capstone. So we have the today's entry section. I just have a basic HTML form. So I'm going to go ahead and type something in. So this is where the user would submit their daily journal entries. So I'll just say, this is a test entry, hit submit, and it routes me back to the home page. So now when I go right down here to previous, we can see down at the bottom, this has appeared. So my entry was submitted. It's got a timestamp on it as well. And so this right here and all of these journal entries are currently being hosted on my back end. So I also entered in a couple of like dummy entries that like a pseudo user would be creating. So the habit that this fake user is working on is to not check the news the first hour of the day. So you can just see like the kind of journey that a person might be on, say like whatever habit that they want to work on, and then they can come to 30 days and journal about each day's experience. So I've always heard that it takes 30 days to make a habit. So that's where the idea for this site came from. And I really think that if you're journaling every day about a habit, that provides consistency, it provides accountability, and then it's so cool to come back, see your previous entries, and to be like, wow, I'm on day 18 and I want to see what was happening on day 2 or whatever. It's really, really interesting to see your progress and see that change. So I think that's very motivating. So I'll go ahead and go back to the home page. And then when I click on inspect, what's great is that this capstone is mobile responsive. So I was able to achieve this using CSS media queries to change the screen size to make all of the information shrink down. So I can show you right here, I've got my hamburger navigation bar. Go ahead, click on this, and here we are. You see all of the navigation items. So for instance, if I hit about, it shrinks down to the screen size. And then if I hit create, you can see I've got the cursor going right here, and it still functions via the mobile version. So I can say this is a mobile test. I'll go ahead, hit submit, and like the desktop version, route you back to the home page. So I'll scroll down to previous, all the way to the bottom, and here we go. This is a mobile test, so that worked beautifully. Close out of this, take us back to the home page. So now what I'd like to discuss is some of the code that I worked on. So here we are. This is my VS Code for my capstone, and this is some of the backend code that I'm going to show you. So as you can see over here, I am in the server folder, and within the server folder, I am in the routers folder. You'll also see I have user.js here and here, and that was for earlier in the week when I was trying to get that login page up and running. So I have some of that code commented out just so that I have a functional capstone to present. So for my entries within the routers folder, I have my 2 HTTP methods that I'm utilizing for this capstone. So I have the post method, which is what happens when I create a journal entry. So I typed in the entries, I hit create, and then the database was notified, hey, this is posting to the database. I've also got my get method, which is retrieving the information from the database. So it's the get all method. So it is displaying all of the journal entries that have been entered. So I also have the delete by ID method down here. So delete by ID was something that I used when I was originally working on the back end about 2 or so weeks ago. And I was testing it using Insomnia because I had entered in a bunch of dummy entries and I was just using the delete by ID to get rid of those. So next, I will move on to my entry.js within the models folder. And again, we're still within the server folder. So I thought this would be pretty interesting to show because I did quite a bit of work on this with my TA. And I mentioned to him, you know, I'm making a 30-day journaling application. Like, should I have the user enter in, you know, the date themselves? Should I have it say day 1, so on and so forth? And he mentioned just put a timestamp in there. And he said to check it out via Mongoose. So we use Mongoose because we are hosting our database, I should say, is MongoDB. So what Mongoose is an object data modeling library, and basically its function is to translate things for MongoDB. So I used basically the Mongoose method of entering in a timestamp, and that's this object right here. So we see that timestamps is a Boolean and it's set to true. So I thought this was pretty interesting because I was thinking it would be a much more involved process with Mongoose, and it wasn't. It was just a really, really quick Google search, and I was able to find it. So that was pretty great. All right, and then I also want to show you the index.js. So I'm down here within the root of my capstone. So I have my two functions that I used for creating the journal entries as well as retrieving the journal entries. So you'll see down here, I have my Axios call for the post method. So we are hosting the backend on Heroku. So that's where you see this unique URL. It's my capstone herokuapp.com. So again, this is posting that journal entry to the database. So down here, I have my Axios call for the get method, and this is retrieving the journal entries, I should say, from the backend. So again, hosting it on Heroku. And as I mentioned earlier, I was having some trouble getting the user login and registration pages to work. So when that happened, I did get quite a few errors, and it was kind of funny because it did print the LOL whoops to the console like multiple times because I kept refreshing the page and I didn't know what was happening. So that was kind of silly to see. I put that in there because I just wanted to make myself laugh. And I did make myself laugh. So there you go. All right. So now I do want to talk about future development ideas that I have for this capstone. So I'd say the first thing that I would like to do is to learn a framework and then rewrite this capstone using said framework. So this was written using vanilla JavaScript. Vanilla JavaScript is what we learned here at Savvy Coders for this cohort. And I've just been told multiple times like how great frameworks are and how they make things so much easier and you can do so much more if you're utilizing a framework. So I'm really looking forward to learning that and to seeing how that compares and contrasts to the vanilla JavaScript of this capstone. And let's see. I also obviously do want to add authentication. So like with my join and my login pages, this is a journaling application. The journal entries do need to be private, and I want users to feel safe and secure knowing that they can submit things to this website and not have it, blasted out to the entire world. So let's see, under the profile page, it's under construction right now, but once I get the authentication up and running, what I'd like to do with the profile page is to add like maybe a progress tracker, badges, awards, things of this nature that could be shared on social media. So you're not sharing your journal entries on social media, but you're sharing, the badges, the awards, things of that nature to get other people interested in using 30 days. I'm also thinking about potentially adding notifications. So let's say someone journals around the same time every day. Maybe a notification can generate an hour before or whenever to let the user know like, hey, like your journaling time is coming up. Get ready, so on and so forth. Another thing I think would be kind of interesting to add to 30 days would potentially be like a reviews section that other users can like submit reviews, tips, questions, so on and so forth to kind of build a bigger support network. So when it comes to journaling, mindfulness, personal development, it's awesome to have a network of support. So I think that would be really, really great and would benefit the user very well. So as far as my journey with Savvy Coders goes, I do want to mention this. So I am here on the Savvy Coders website. So I worked with Ashley, who is the Savvy Coders social media manager, and she asked me to submit a weekly Savvy story. So a Savvy story could have been like a meme or a blog post or anything like this to kind of build out Savvy Coders' social media. So I decided to submit blog posts once a week. So if you just go to savvycoders.com, you'll click blog over here, and you can see all of these entries, so all the way back to week 1. And I have my entries submitted to Ashley for weeks 11 and 12, and she will be uploading those shortly. So I really wrote this with potential students in mind. I am someone who had 0 coding experience before I came to Savvy Coders. So I wanted to write this in a way that other people would be able to understand if they're looking towards taking a 12-week boot camp. So this is something that I do wish I would have had. So that's kind of what inspired me to do this. Like I said, I honestly stumbled upon Savvy Coders back in, I think, October of 2020. Hadn't really heard about it. So I wanted to make the experience better for students who come after me. So if you want to read more about like what each week looks like, I was sure to, talk about the curriculum and so on and so forth. You can do that here at the blog page of the Savvy Coders website. All right, so this concludes my capstone presentation. Thank you so much for watching.